Yes, good afternoon and welcome to live coverage from Bridgehaugh of the final match in the second weekend of competition in the FOSROC Super6 Sprint Series, and we're watching Stirling County against Ayrshire Bulls. Mixed fortunes for these sides after week one. Stirling County losing out by just 2 points at Millar to Watsonians, courtesy of a very late Jason Baggett penalty, stealing the match for the home side, while the champions Ayrshire Bulls, well, they were just a little bit too strong for Boroughmuir Bears, winning their tie by 24 points to 17. Bruce Millar is alongside me, and Bruce, as we mentioned, mixed fortunes for both these sides, but going on past form when they've met at Bridgehaugh, one win apiece during the Super 6 history of the competition, and I'm sure on a day like today, a very crisp, clear April afternoon, it's going to be an interesting close contest.
I think we've seen that in the Super 6 so far. There are very rarely do we get a one-sided match. Occasionally you get that little outlier, but generally speaking, they're very tight, very difficult to predict, and I don't think that today will be any different.
Yeah, you look at the sides as they're shaping up, both of the obviously have aspirations to perform well in this sprint competition. We mentioned the champions there, Ayrshire Bulls, winning the first completed Super 6 competition back in the autumn last year. A very strong forwards pack. There's a lot of dynamism though in the Stirling County backs, and that I think is the interesting comparison between the sides. When a group of players like this at this level get together, Bruce, I would imagine, and you from your own sort of coaching background, the first aspect of the game that you'll work on is defence. And during a competition like this, I guess we'll see, as the weeks pass, a more expansive game played by all sides.
I think that's fair to say. Yes, I watched Stirling County last week against Watsonians. Really unfortunate to lose out in the last minute of the game, but they tried to throw it about a bit, but they looked more comfortable when they had the ball in the forwards, and it's understandable, as you say, in the early stages of a sprint series, you've got to get wins, you've got to pick up bonus points wherever you possibly can, so it's natural that you revert to where you're comfortable, and I didn't see the Ayrshire Bulls game, but Pete Horn in his post-match interview said he felt that maybe they leaned a bit too heavily on their set piece in the second half in their win last week. But of course, part of the process is you want to develop your game plan, develop your players, and also their understanding of the game plan. And I think as we go on through this series, we'll see the teams being more and more expansive and ambitious, and we've already seen that in a couple of games this weekend so far. And I think we might get much the same today at Bridgehaugh.
Yeah, indeed, there's the Stirling County side this afternoon. One change to tell you about, to point out immediately, is on the right wing. Ratatagivi has been drafted in by Glasgow Warriors, so the Glasgow Warriors winger is not part of the Stirling County setup this afternoon, replaced by Ross McKnight, 7 times capped Scottish under-20 internationalist with 1 try to his name. That's still a very, very interesting back division though, Bruce. You look at Logan Trotter at fullback, Ross McKnight on the right wing, and Walter Fafita, a couple of Glasgow appearances to his name as well. Giant Tongan international player.
Yes, I mean, he only got 10 or 15 minutes at the end of the game last week. I assume that Glasgow Warriors had put some sort of restriction on his minutes, and he starts today. Those of you, we mentioned this last week in commentary, poor Darcy Graham last year when Scotland took on Tonga in the autumn internationals, missed 2 or 3 tackles on him. Understandably, he's about 6'5", he's 118 kilos. Harry Fisher, the Watsonians open side, showed how to deal with him last week though. A wonderful chop tackle that I think resulted in a turnover, but I think Stirling County will try and get the ball into his hands very early today.
The Ayrshire Bulls side as well, again the coaching staff, Pete and George Horn, just shuffling the pack a little bit. There's the side that they've chosen this afternoon. The concentration, I guess, for us is immediately focused on, again, the forwards, with Ali Rogers in the front row alongside Grant Stuart and Enrico Peretto, and particularly Stuart and Peretto. You think that those players at scrummage time and as ball carriers are going to have a big say in this. And one other player I'm going to point out as well, we often see Edward Bloodworth in the second row. He's playing in the back row. That's going to be an interesting little change, as in terms of scrum time, but as a ball carrier he may be more effective in the back.
Yes, he's certainly very mobile. He's a good line out forward, but as you say, he maybe just gets his hands on the ball a little bit more at 6, and do that role with the enforcer role, if you like, with in defence. So that'll be interesting to see. You mentioned Enrico Pieretto as well. It'll be Argentinian, played for the under-19s, under-20s. We know how much they love their scrummaging. He came from Exeter to Glasgow Warriors, but he played in that Jaguares team that made it all the way to the 2019 Super Rugby final. Played most of the games that year as well, so vastly experienced. And as I said, if they want to go to their set piece, Ayrshire Bulls, I know they will try and throw it about a bit, but if they have to go there, they've got a lot of guys that they can rely on.
Yeah, and also their creativity in the form of Jordan Lanack at 9, Christian Townsend at 10, and Matt Minogue on the bench, who is a good player to have in reserve. I've watched him start a few matches during the completed Super6 championship that Ayrshire Bulls ultimately went on to win back in the autumn, and he was a good player to start and create from the first minute of a match. But I can see the value in having his qualities as somebody to bring on for the final quarter if it's a close match.
Yes, you want something different coming off your bench, and just one thing to pick up on from last week, that grubber kick that he put through for Eli Caven's try off his left foot was just outstanding. It should probably not have been scored, to be fair, but it was a wonderful kick. So again, nice to have in reserve, and Cam Jones as well, the other halfback joined from the Southern Knights, got a try last week, player of the match. So it's a very strong bench they have.
And as the youngsters line up with their flags on the pitch to welcome onto the field of play the two respective sides, you can just see an illustration of the strength of the wind there. It's gusty around much of Scotland this afternoon, very crisp and clear around the Stirling area, so it's an ideal afternoon in many respects. A pitch in excellent condition, but Ayrshire Bulls will certainly enjoy this particular contest because they know that Stirling, they can stick it up the jumper and play through the forwards, but they have that creativity that the Ayrshire Bulls backs, I'm sure, will relish coming up against.
Absolutely, yes. As I say, I think both sides in the early stages of this, as you usually see, that they'll ease themselves into it, try and settle any nerves. But I think the early stages, we will see them trying to go wide. Stirling County get it into the hands of Fafita. Logan Trotter at 15, he was outstanding, I thought, on the wing last week. He moves to fullback as Marcus Holden, the captain, the co-captain, moves up to stand off. But equally so for Ayrshire Bulls, McNamara, Caven and Aaron Tate, who got 2 tries last week for the Bulls, both very strong, so that it would be silly not to use them.
Well, Marcus Holden, the first of the Stirling County players out of the home dressing room and onto the park. We did see just a few moments earlier the Ayrshire Bulls players head onto the pitch. Our match referee this afternoon is David Sutherland. There's the man in the middle of the picture, and a rather tall, lean figure, but he'll certainly be looking to operate efficiently during the course of the afternoon. He'll be hoping for a compelling contest as well, and they have been so far this weekend. Of course, that's the third and final match in round 2 of this sprint series, with Boroughmuir Bears losing out to Heriots by 22 points to 38 at Meggetland, and then just a little earlier on this afternoon, the Southern Knights losing out again, a late try, earning a win for Watsonians at a slightly more comfortable margin in the end that they perhaps were expecting. Southern Knights 20, Watsonians 29. So it's going to be Christian Townsend, the youngster. Last time I watched him was in a match at Meggetland back in the autumn, and he'll get this match underway alongside our match official David Sutherland. Spectators continuing to make their way into Bridgehaugh for this 4:30 kick-off. And these sides, having played one competitive match already, Bruce, just know that little bit more about each other, and I suppose about the standard as well. They've had a full season. They had a season that almost reached a conclusion before COVID. They've come back, had that campaign last autumn, and now I think they're relishing the opportunity of this sprint series.
Absolutely, they know a bit more about the opposition and each other. However, we've spoken about the number of changes in both of the squads, so still a bit to learn, and we're off.
Yep, Pete Horn and George Horn alongside Ben Cairns and the Stirling coaching staff just shuffling the pack somewhat. Pleasant from the kick-off. and played downfield there. Stirling County just looking for some field position, but just overcooking it. Perhaps the wind having a little bit of an impact here. Marcus Holden just making his way back into the 22. So disappointing start from a Stirling County point of view when you get the first opportunity to play it downfield. The last thing you want to do is play it straight into touch.
And something similar happened last week. They were receiving and made a hash of it and gave Watsonians territory very early on, and a different mistake this week. But Marcus Holden, who was a footballer till his late teens, he can certainly kick the ball, but he just didn't get that one quite right. And fortunately for them, the ball has been lost at the line out.
Just an infringement in the line. As we mentioned there the skill set that they have in the forwards with Rogers at loose head, Grant Stuart starting as the starting hooker, and Nico Pareto as the tight head prop. Of course, Stuart and Pareto both 27 and both with quite a bit of Glasgow Warriors experience, and all this hell the very first scrimmage give us an illustration of the strength here. It will be a Stirling County put in with Finlay Burgess, 18-year-old, just in a picture alongside Jordan Lanack, two scrum halves with an excellent story to share as well, the respective developments in the game as they make their way to this particular level of Scottish Rugby, part-time professional level. The box kick then will be delivered by Burgess, and that is a safety first kick which carries the 22, so we'll have another set play, and this rather stop-start nature to the first half continues as we play 2 minutes of the contest. No score.
Stirling County got that one in and out of the scrum fairly quickly, but there was just a hint of a drive there from Ayrshire Bulls. It'll be interesting to see how the next 2 or 3 scrums go.
Again, just ricocheting off the hands, knocked forward there by the Bulls. This time in the line, Stuart's throw was towards the middle of the line, ricocheting off a Ayrshire Bulls hand, and it presents Stirling now with an opportunity to feed the ball into the scrum. Just as you can see the corner of the 22, spectators just lining alongside a section of pathway towards the car park, and they'll be enjoying some spring sunshine, although that breeze is making it somewhat a chilly afternoon. And again, Finlay Burgess, only 18 years of age, but great experience for him to come in to a match of this magnitude at such a young age and put his wits against the likes of Jordan, and that picked up there by Callum Cruikshank. Recycled ball. Stirling again just on the front foot at the moment as they try and gain some ground, but that's a solid challenge coming in. You can see it's a relatively dry pitch with little clouds of dust beginning to spring up from the turf. County again take the ball into contact, mopped up at the base by Burgess. Block challenge coming in there from the Ayrshire Bulls skipper Blair McPherson, trying to hold Stirling into that 22. Crossfield kick carries halfway, and that's a nice touch finder as it's followed all the way there by the Bulls fullback Liam McNamara. And of course the opportunities now when you've got long kickers, players with a skill set that can kick accurately from inside their own half. The 50-22 option has really made a difference and provided an attacking platform for teams when that wasn't possible a year or two ago.
And that's a fantastic kick. I was going to say Stirling County, they did that last week. They played too many phases in their own 22 and it cost them on occasions, but it's worked out for them well there, and it's given them a great position in the 22.
Yeah, just on the very edge of the 22, but deemed good enough to provide the 50-22, and they had the throw in. Recycle ball again. County once more through Burgess, just looking for some forward direction here. Taken into contact by James Poe. Back it comes through the hands of Burgess. Once more a little touch there from Holden. Carries the ball forward. Trotter comes up at fullback. It's now taken into contact there. Lanack with the tackle. And Stirling again, well they're starting now on the front foot to press this Ayrshire Bull side into just defensive mode. You know, they're trying to call the shots at the moment, Stirling County, as they take the ball in the tackle and not releasing the player on the deck. It's another penalty for Stirling County inside that 22, and after a tentative opening couple of minutes, this is more promising for the home side.
That was just Jordan Lanack involved in the tackle there. He had a hold of the ball, he was trying to strip it, but the tackle had been called and he stripped it just a second or two too late. And again, it's allowed Stirling County to kick to the corner. They were very good with their driving line out last week.
Angus Fraser again, ball just above the head. in position, primed and ready to throw in. The referee just walking in between the line. You can see the figure of our match referee David Sutherland, and there is Angus Fraser throwing in again towards the front of the line. Secure ball. Fraser will join in the maul. His opposite number, Grant Stuart, has scored 9 tries from close range for Glasgow Warriors in his 47 appearances. But at the moment, Stirling County, their maul upset somewhat by this very robust Ayrshire Bulls defence, just in that Stirling County right hand corner, camped on the edge of the 22. Ayrshire Bulls making it somewhat untidy and winning that little defensive battle just as we approach the 6th minute of the first half. And that was good defensive work by the champions under a little bit of pressure there, and very much aware of Stirling's tactic, but equal to it.
Very good defence. They didn't go up and compete. Just got themselves ready to hit the maul as soon as Stirling County tried to form it, and they never really got it formed properly. It never looked like they were going to get any go forward. And of course, as you take the ball into the maul, if it doesn't emerge, the opposition get it, and a chance then for Ayrshire Bulls to clear their lines here. And again, it'll be interesting. We spoke about the scrum. This is their first put in of the match.
Ewan Bulger, incidentally, you'd see joining that Ayrshire Bulls scrum. He's no number on his back, but he's in that second row alongside Alex Samuel. Picked up then at the base by Blair McPherson. Runs into some Stirling traffic as he tries to make some ground just inside that 22. The look to recycle ball here. Lynette just reaching in, squatting down now, delivering the box kick. Got a bit of height and direction on that, just initially to clear the 22, so safety first, getting the ball a little further downfield. But Angus Fraser up very quickly and ready for this Stirling throw-in. Contested in the air, but one at the back of the line there, coming through with Stuart up towards halfway. Now this is an illustration of the quality of some of these forwards and what they can do in broken open play. And Stuart has taken play up into the Stirling half of the field. Recycled ball on now towards Aaron Tate, occupying the position on the Ayrshire Bulls right. Starting with 11 on his back as the left winger, finds his skipper Blair McPherson. In behind him is Lynette. Lynette with a pass on towards Townsend. Townsend the touch, infield, and Ayrshire Bulls trying to close in on that 22. Inside centre, Tom Jordan with a touch. Once more it's taken up with purpose there by Liam McNamara. A bit of crossing signalled by our match referee David Sutherland. First real meaningful attack from Ayrshire Bulls. Best attack so far in the near 8 minutes that we've played, and it all stemming from just that overthrow picked up by Grant Stewart, who had one thing in his mind.
And Ayrshire Bulls starting to get into their attack shape there and look dangerous. Sort of from the overthrow, they got it. They went immediately wide as they came back off the edge. They played through off 9 through a pod of forwards, and then they played off 10 and attacked in the midfield, and then looked to go wide again. As it was, you could see it was just starting to stress that Stirling County defence when they gave away that penalty, and a chance for Stirling County now to get themselves back into the Ayrshire Bulls half.
Logan Trotter's kick downfield is a healthy one, as Stirling again will march purposefully into that section of field, sort of between the 10 and the 22 lines. At Bridgehaugh a little faint, but we can see now that Angus Fraser is throwing in towards the front of the line this time. Hamish Ferguson makes himself available at the front. They recycle and try and bring the midfield in very quickly inside the 22. In position now is Burgess. Once more finds the ball carrier Ferguson. Ferguson up towards the edge of the 22. Cruikshank as well. He's clattered. It's back now towards Ferguson. Cruikshank was the first of the carriers. Ferguson the second. They'll work it back infield. A little pop pass from Holden. Once more they're looking at the options as Bulls remain disciplined defensively. Stirling having a little look towards the right hand side. Burgess out on that right hand channel, but a good interception, and suddenly Ayrshire Bulls are away. Good running here from the edge of the 10 metre line, and it was galloping at a real rate of knots there. Lewis McNamara, recycled ball just coming off the feet there of the Ayrshire Bulls player, who was perhaps expecting a pass to the upper body rather than to the feet. Now Stirling County playing a bit of football. It's going to be a foot race to the line here. Have they got enough? Is the ball going to go beyond the dead ball area? No, it's a fine try. It's a kick and chase there, Bruce Millar, and Stirling County, that's a lung busting effort you'd see in rugby sevens. But how about that, turning defence into attack very quickly indeed, and a bit of football played. The chase was on. Ellis Cavan was chasing back, Aaron Tate was chasing back, but it was Ross McKnight who finished things off, the man in for Ratatagiwi. And what a start he's made to the contest. 8 minutes gone, he's opened the scoring.
And because it came from a turnover, a mistake made by Ayrshire Bulls, Marcus Holden, the co-captain, got his foot to it, and you expected there to be somebody at the back, but the Bulls had everybody up in attack, nobody there at the back in defence, and it was just a matter of who was the quickest and how kindly would the ball bounce, and it worked out brilliantly for Stirling County.
Yeah, the foot chase you see here again, the ball controlled by Holden. And it was all about the footballing skills here, the weight of the kick played forward, and then it's now about the pace of McKnight up against Elias Cavan and the power of the winger coming through, touching down, and again he had very little room to work with, and he had only one opportunity to gather the ball, secure it in his hands, and then ground it in one very quick movement.
We spoke earlier, I think I mentioned Marcus Holden. I mean, he's 32 years old now. He played 15 last week, he's moved up to 10, but he was a footballer until his late teens, and he showed his footballing skills there, because that's not an easy thing to do when you're running absolutely flat out, and we all know the rugby ball can bounce anywhere, and it did work out. It bounced kindly for Stirling County there. The Bulls will be really disappointed though that they lost that when they were in attack and looking good again.
All about the weight and the direction of the kick as Townsend's restart is gathered, and Stirling County again trying to make ground up towards their own 10 metre line. Once more the home side ball carrier there, Angus Fraser, taking the ball into contact. Recycled, Stirling got some room down their left hand channel. Block challenge comes in there from Aaron Tate, who's occupying a lot of space on this right hand side. Recycled again by Finlay Burgess. Tackle comes in though, Enrico Pareto on the defensive for Ayrshire Bulls just now, who are trailing by 7 points to nil. We mentioned that the two previous matches contested between these sides have been relatively close affairs. When they first met at Bridgehaugh back in 2019 in the Super 6, Ayrshire Bulls ran out 8-0 winners with just a single try and penalty during the contest, the try coming relatively late in that game. But back on the 20th of August 2021, Stirling County defeated the Bulls by just a margin of 2 points, 30 points to 28, with a Craig Robertson penalty, practically the last kick of the contest, winning the match for Stirling County. With the throw in then, Angus Fraser on the Stirling County left hand side, scampering after it and offloading was Burgess. Played forward now, good carry there, as once more Craig Jardine and Ben Salmon in the midfield looking to get involved in the action as they try to spread the ball out towards that right hand side. Fafita will be coming across as well to try and get involved from a Stirling County point of view, who are now protecting a lead and looking to build on it. Burgess was almost half through, but they've been stripped. Pieretto uncertain to pass, straightened up, was able to take the ball into contact, and now he's on the deck and conceded the penalty. And Stirling County just winning a few 1-to-1 battles at the moment, Bruce, as they lead by 7 points to nil, and they'll look to add to that tally.
They put somebody into every single breakdown. We commented on it again last week, that some teams will just fan out in defence, others will commit somebody to every single breakdown just to make a nuisance of themselves, slow the ball down, make the opposition commit more numbers and try and win the ball, win penalties. And Stirling County do that, and they've already had a bit of success from it, and yet again a chance to kick into the 22. And last time the Ayrshire Bulls line out defence was able to stymie the Stirling County attack. Let's see what they've got to offer this time.
Logan Trotter just kicking the ball down towards the edge of that 22 on the Stirling right hand side. Meanwhile, Jordan Lanack receives a little bit of treatment. He's back to his feet. They'll want to continue as he's removed the gum shield, but we've touched on his interesting backstory with Croatian connections, Australia, schoolboy, 2 appearances, Queensland University student at one time as well, as he's appeared at a fairly decent level, has to be said, in Australia during his time there before making the move to Scotland. And of course his connections with Hawick through his great grandfather, who was a rugby league player, toured with Great Britain just over 100 years ago when they made their first journey down to Australia. But the throw in will go the way of Stirling County, who are very much on the front foot, having scored the opening try. That kick and chase, excellent bit of footwork and football from Holden, and the chase was on. Cavan up against McKnight, and McKnight in for Ratatigiv, who was released to go and join Glasgow Warriors, and that's proved to be a bit of an inspirational change in some ways, as we see that George, I think that's George Arnott, stripped and ready to come on the park. A replacement for Stirling County coming inside the opening 14 minutes.
Yes, Callum Cruikshank looked like a head knock maybe, so I don't know if we'll see him again later. Although he looked like he was just going to take his place sitting in the stand there, so it may well be a permanent change, certainly an injury anyway, but George Arnott now getting his chance.
Throw in then for Stirling County. Angus Fraser again in position. You see Arnott just joining the line towards the back. He'll aid one of the jumpers. That again over the reach there of James Poe. And Ayrshire Bulls again just securing possession just on the edge of the 22. They'll try and pick and go and make some ground as Adam Sinclair comes in with the block tackle. Recycled again by Lanack, the aforementioned Lanack. Challenges coming in. See, just an illustration of how dry the park is at the moment, as Ayrshire Bulls then opt to get a little bit more room to kick downfield, but it's a high up and under, and the chase is good. Logan Trotter wins the ball in the air, securing possession once more for Stirling County. 14 and a half minutes of the first half gone. County leading by 7 points to 0. Recycled by Burgess out towards the Stirling right, looking to gain some ground. Joe McKnight also on for Blair McPherson, so another change in at the forwards this time. That change for Ayrshire Bulls, as Stirling County have made a change, and a player down as well, receiving or about to receive a bit of treatment, I'd imagine, is Andy Stirrat, the outside centre for Ayrshire Bulls, receiving a knock to the knee, but play continues, and it's once more Angus Fraser who tries to splinter through this Ayrshire defence. In behind, mopping up is Burgess. Little pass on there towards Holden, spread out towards the left hand side. Now a chance for Fafita to go, but the referee, almost as when Fafita gathered possession of the ball there, the referee had whistled to mouth, and he could do no more than slow up the Fijians. Christian Townsend also down, receiving a bit of treatment. So there's a few players in the wars in the early stages of this contest, Bruce. We were expecting a physical affair, and it's certainly proven to be so.
Well, we've seen Walter Fafita with ball in hand. I'm fairly certain it was him that went over Andy Stirrat. Stirrat made the tackle. He's still sitting there. He's also taken a knock to the neck. It was a good tackle, but he's been hurt in the process. And then a moment or two later, Fafita getting the ball out on the left wing there and looking very dangerous. That all came though from a mistake at the line out. It was when George Arnott came on, he was the back lifter. I don't know if that's what caused the confusion. I think it was probably the just thrown a bit too high, but either way, Ayrshire Bulls won it back and had a chance to clear their lines. Wasn't a great kick, good chase by Tom Jordan, but it allowed Stirling County to stay in that Ayrshire Bulls half and build some pressure, and they could have been made to pay there, but for the referee's whistle.
Yeah, the only player down now is Andy Stirrat, the outside centre. There he is in a picture. He's just puffing his cheeks out, as you can imagine, having taken a sore one. We thought that Christian Townsend may require a little bit of treatment as well, but he was very much part of that huddle that I could see. So Ayrshire Bulls, well, the player may well go just towards the edge of the pitch just now for a further examination. Meanwhile, there's going to be a scrummage here, and it's an important set play. There's the power of those three Bulls forwards in Rogers, Stuart and Pareto, coming up against McMillan, Fraser and Breeze. Breeze on just at the right of the picture there in the Stirling County colours. They will then engage with Ali Rogers as Lanack then makes his way forward into the scrum. Harried there by Burgess. Lanack works his way around towards the back, picked up once more by their number 8. Recycled ball, Townsend with the touch, little interchange of pass and bringing Jordan into play. Now accelerating down this left hand side. Bulls away they go once more. Townsend with a galloping run, he's able to plant the ball back. Reinforcements coming in. Lanack on there towards Ed Bloodworth. He takes the ball into contact. It's recycled once more through the hands, and quickly Ayrshire Bulls with Finlay Callaghan on for Liam McNamara. Another change there, Callaghan wearing 25, so he's on at fullback. Another change has been made. McNamara is off and Callaghan is on. We're now playing a period advantage here. Ayrshire Bulls on the attack once more, looking at Jordan. First receiver is the inside centre, picked up by Lanack once again, tries to snipe into that 22, looking to hit back after that chase downfield was ended with a try from Ross McKnight earlier on in the first half. Once more the architect Jordan tries to bring support into play there in the form of Aaron Tate, but they'll come back. That was a fairly lengthy period of advantage played by our match referee David Sutherland. It remains Stirling County in front by 7 points to 0. Despite the changes, Bruce, it's been a better minute or so of open play from Ayrshire Bulls. They've had a couple of decent forays into the Stirling County 22 or thereabouts before play breaks down.
Great break by Christian Townsend initially, but the Bulls probably just about winning the physicality or the physical battle, and then it becomes very hard to defend, because every time the forwards, when they carry, they're just making a metre or so. The powerful centres, Jordan had his hands on the ball there a couple of times, so the Stirling County defence are always retreating, and again you could just start to see them losing a bit of shape.
The referee just heading back to the position where the penalty was awarded.
Time on. 20, high tackle.
A high tackle there, resulting
Water off,
in
please, water off.
the penalty. So George Arnott has been on the park a couple of minutes there. He was adjudged to have tackled around close to the neck, resulting in this opportunity. Townsend will just ping that one into the 22. Sets up a platform. You can see the time on the screen, approaching 5 minutes to 5 on a Saturday evening. Super 6 sprint action as Cam Jones is on for Elias Cavan, so another change there made as the Ayrshire Bulls again driving towards that line, and the power of the forwards. The Bulls once again illustrating how good they are in a situation like that, where they have the likes of Pieretto and Grant Stuart with that experience throwing the ball into the line. We'll get to see this again. The throw-in was secure. Stuart then joins in the drive. Now he comes in at the side there. The ball seems to be under a clutch of Ayrshire Bulls players who just crash over for the score. The raised arm from the referee. Down it comes. Bruce, have you got eyes on who the try scorer is in amongst all this?
I do not. You would normally expect it to be the hooker, Grant Stewart, but I don't know if he ever did get his hands on the ball. As you said, he came in at the side. I wonder if it was maybe Lewis McNamara, the Irishman. We'll maybe get another look at it. It seemed almost inevitable when they got that penalty and they kicked to the corner. We know how good the Ayrshire Bulls set piece is, and you just felt that they almost had to score. It was probably a little bit easier than Stirling County would like, though.
Yeah, Stirling County, well, their advantage has been clawed back 7 points to 5, and that throw-in just coming when we got information through there that I think it was Cam Jones on for Elias Cavan. Townsend in with the conversion attempt, swinging around and just across the posts on unconverted try, but 7 points to 5. Townsend heads back to his own half of the field, and we get to see this conversion attempt again. He puts plenty of spin on the kick, but it's maybe just a little bit too much, also in these rather windy conditions. It's an unconverted try, gets Ayrshire Bulls on the scoreboard, and they're just 2 points behind. We played almost the first quarter of the contest. A high up and under their restart kick from Marcus Holden. It's allowed to bounce and will end up in touch just on the edge of the 22, across on that Ayrshire Bulls left hand side, and Bulls were trying to shepherd it out. It will be a throw in then to Stirling County, so it provides a platform for County to hit back almost immediately. But no great surprise, Bruce, that Ayrshire Bulls used that tactic from a line at 5 metres from the Stirling line. Maybe a little bit surprised who the scorer is. In the end, it wasn't the hooker that finished things off. Here's a chance though for the home side to hit straight back. Now goes on here. County again, just looking to secure possession of the ball. The scrum half right in the middle of it here. Finlay Burgess, you can see he's trying to rip the ball away as Ayrshire Bulls loose head prop there. Ali Rogers, his hands wrapped round the ball as well. A real battle between the loose head and Finlay Burgess, the Stirling County scrum half, as to who was going to be able to rip possession of the ball away in one direction or the other. Jordan Lanaka, a word with the near side assistant referee, who's on his feet. Lanak and back in position for this set play.
You see how clinical Ayrshire Bulls are. They got one opportunity in the diagonal corner, if you like, from where the play is just now, and scored it with probably too much ease. Stirling County have had 3 opportunities down here. They're an overthrow, at the line out, and then the two that they caught, they were never able to get their maul set, disrupted on both occasions by the Ayrshire Bulls.
Scrummage then, and Lanac will feed the ball in alongside him. Finlay Burgess
Set. Stable.
into the scrum it goes, then he'll work it round. Well, he was always releasing the ball into the scrum before the penalty was awarded. A scrum penalty then to Ayrshire Bulls, and a chance for them and Townsend to play the ball down the park.
Enrico Pieretto, I think the man that's getting the pat on the back there, probably the whole front row, but Pieretto, you can just see how powerful he is there, and that's an easy out for the Ayrshire Bulls.
Townsend's kick watched all the way, and that takes play down closer towards the halfway line. This seesaw contest continues then. Stirling County opening up play with that Marcus Holden kick and chase, finished off by Ross McKnight pretty much from inside his own half of the field. It was a fine run. Counter that with the power of the Ayrshire Bulls, a line out 5 metres from the Stirling County line, finished off a clutch of Ayrshire Bulls forwards grounding the ball. That coming off the hands there of Alex Samuel, who was highest in the line but couldn't get clean hands on the ball, wrapped in the tackle there, and the ball almost going into touch, but it goes loose, picked up then by Marcus Holden, looking to turn defence into attack as County protecting this 2-point advantage. 22 and a half, almost 23 minutes of the first half gone. Burgess may well go to the sky here with the box kick. Bit of distance on it as well. Invites the chase. Bulls plenty of players back and securing possession of the ball as well. Of course, they've got Cam Jones and Finlay Callaghan on, just in a rearranged and restructured back division. We talked about the backs relishing this contest. A few of them have been in the wars during the early stages. A quick throw in, Stirling County again, contested by both sides at the back of the line, comes back and is picked up there by the blindside flanker there, Edward Bloodworth, but the referee had already whistled for the infringement, so I'll come back and knock on signalled by the referee, so we'll have another scrummage. They're coming in increasingly regular intervals, these scrums, and I suppose from an Ayrshire point of view they'll want to remain on top, having done well in the last couple.
I think they'll be quite happy with as many scrums as they can get. You're right, there have been probably too many scrums. Handling at times hasn't been perfect, but it is of course a Stirling County scrum here, and I think they'll just try and get this in and out and away. And of course they've got Fafita lurking on that left wing.
Well, he has indeed. I wonder if he'll just begin to drift in just to make himself a little bit more available and a little bit more involved in the contest. It's the two scrum halves, one on top of the other. Lanac just trying to ensure that he makes it as difficult as possible for Burgess to provide the pass onto the back division. The referee will get all players back on their feet before we'll have another scrummage. The County will have the put in once more. There in the picture, the tall frame of Ewan Bolger, of course has played for both Ayr and Mar in his days, very much one of the part-time professionals with Ayrshire Bulls. 7 points to 5. Bulls of course winning the overall championship after the first season that was fully completed back in the autumn of 2021. Moving forward then, Burgess into the scrum. Well, again trying to offload their free kick awarded. Very quick take then. Burgess off and running, so too the support cast in behind the scrum half, who has it once more. Nice interchange and passing as Bulls reorganise their defence. Burgess has it again on towards Sinclair. Sinclair again supported there by Hamish Ferguson. They look to try and spread it a little wider now. Breeze is in position. He may well be the decoy runner. It was on towards Connor Gordon, who's the ball carrier just now, with Breeze in behind, the tight head prop. Recycled again by Burgess, on now towards Holden, picked up this time by the midfield. Tackle coming in there by Finlay Callaghan, who gets back to his feet. Recycled ball, Stirling County still just on the fringes of the Ayrshire Bulls 22. Recycled again by Burgess along that line. Ball carriers coming in at a rate of knots now, just readjusting the position and the angle of the run as it's picked up by Burgess, almost backed himself there. Was able to offload one-handed to Cameron McMillan, whose head prop did well. Back it comes once more. Barnstorming run here will take County over the line, and a wonderful score. George Arnott It is off the bench, one of the first county replacements, and Arnott in underneath the post after a bit of barnstorming work by the forwards, and he'll be delighted with that effort. Arnott on the score sheet, County extending their advantage, and the thoughts of Bruce Millar. Bruce, that was excellent work initially by Connor Gordon, setting up Arnott for the try.
Yes, it was Gordon that got them on the front foot, and I mentioned at the start that Stirling County, they just look more comfortable when they've got the ball with the forwards, and there was some good interplay. I mean, it's just one pass and to a pot of forwards, but it was then Finlay Burgess had a nice little break. I don't think Cameron McMillan, the loose head prop, was quite ready for it, but Burgess had a little break and gave it to McMillan. Just in the front of the post there, and then a phase or two later they're over for a score. I did think that if they scored, it was probably going to come through the forwards or through just throwing that ball out to Fafita. On that occasion, it is the forwards who get them over the line. And
those players taking a well-earned drink then as the try converted by Marcus Holden. 14 points to 5, almost half an hour played. 3 steps back and a clean strike, but they all count, and even the simplest of conversions, you still got to knock them over to get the 2 points. As Townsend heads back towards halfway. Blustery afternoon at Bridgehaugh with each 5 o'clock, and Townsend and Ayrshire Bulls with a bit of work to do, a test for the champions. That ball allowed to bounce from Townsend's restart kick on the Stirling County right hand side. Over in position is Burgess, looking to recycle ball, carry it into contact with Poe. Burgess in behind him once again. You can see the Scots down, very deliberate attempt there to launch the box kick with some distance, despite the best efforts there of the Ayrshire Bulls. Lock forwards to put him off and try and block the kick downfield. Bulls returning now. Lanack, little offload there from Rogers. Powerful running from Townsend. One-handed offload takes the man away. Grant Stuart into that 22, grounds the ball close to the 5 metre line. Recycled by Lanack. Momentum perhaps just dropped ever so slightly as it's been snatched by Stirling County, but the referee then penalising County for not releasing the tackle player, despite the appeals there from Marcus Holden, one of the County co-captains, who continues to remonstrate with the referee. And Bruce, you can't take your eyes off this for a second. It's a good contest.
You cannot. If you're going to kick, I think you've got to either make that contestable or get it out, and Finlay Burgess kicked it straight to Blair McPherson, who's a monster. So he carried it back about 20 yards, and then as soon as the Bulls get on the front foot, they're very hard to stop.
Yeah, McPherson, of course, the captain of Ayrshire Bulls, and we've been around the club in the years leading up to the Super 6 competition, enjoyed a lot of domestic success with Ayr, and championships and cups played at Murrayfield as they do well. Bloodworth wins the ball in the line. Now he's able to straighten up the drive on the ball. Very much now back with Grant Stuart. Stuart unable just at the moment to look up, tries a couple of times to glance and see what's in front of him. Lanack wants to snatch it. Decoy run there coming in, but he actually goes for the inside centre, who is Jordan. Picked up again by Grant Stuart, and Stuart is over this time. There's no doubt about the Ayrshire Bulls try scorer on this occasion. Good work initially there by both the scrum half, Jordan Lanack and Tom Jordan, who were working good angles, but it provided an easier platform for Grant Stuart to come onto the pass, as we'll see here, and he was not going to be denied. Was able to pick up, in fact the ball was on the deck, he was able to pick and go from the best part of 5 metres rather than receive the pass, and he's in for another try. And we've seen him do that so many times for Glasgow Warriors at just that higher level, showing his experience, the Scotland internationalist.
Well, you expected the Bulls to just score from the line out again. They were forced to go through another couple of phases to get themselves over the line on this occasion, but very powerful. Tom Jordan, as you say, involved, in Grant Stuart. That you could see the Stirling County defence round the ruck, they were almost piling up on top of themselves. I think it was John McKenna who was standing further off, and he was calling guys round the corner to fill the gap. And they were two of them very tight, and a third standing behind, and Grant Stuart spotted where the space was, and just picked the ball up and got himself over. He would expect to score. He was in possession at the back of the driving line out on this occasion, and but as I say, had to wait another couple of phases before he got his try.
Yeah, from one very scenic ground a little earlier on this afternoon down at the Greenyards for that contest between the Southern Knights and Watsonians, to another Bridgehaugh there. We've got a glimpse of the Wallace Monument in the background. The inflatable Nessie is a temporary feature for the kids. It's not necessarily one of the Stirling tourist attractions that you'll find in too many brochures, but as Ayrshire Bulls then looking to recycle from close to their own 22. Back to a 2-point game inside the final 10 minutes of the first half. Lanac has a little look, thinks about playing a grubber kick, and thinks about playing a box kick, I should say. Not play a grubber through that traffic, as he now is able to launch it through the hands, downfield with the boot, and making some ground up towards that 10-metre line, just by the changing rooms. Well, that comes across. We'll have a word with the forwards. Another throw in here. Stirling County and Angus Fraser primed and ready. And this contest offered a lot, Bruce, and we were looking forward to this tie, and it's been a very entertaining and very open game in the first 32 minutes.
It's been fascinating, yes. It's a 2-point game. We said at the start that there's never much to choose between these two sides up at Bridgehaugh, and I think today, well, although here we go, here's Stirling County towards the up towards the 22.
Yeah, Ben Salmon with the offload on towards Logan Trotter, and Trotter backs himself, and that's a fine try. That's a really excellent score there, because the line out again, it was important that Stirling were able to secure the ball. Ayr made it difficult for them, but they were able to pan the ball back, and you can see here, recycled again quickly through the hands of Holden, and this was a powerful piece of running here from Ben Salmon, who's trained with the Scotland under-20s. The little offload there, the timing of the pass onto Trotter, and he was just too quick for Aaron Tate.
And simple, just one missed tackle. I think it was Tom Jordan, unusually for him, the Ayrshire Bulls inside centre. You see it there, he just didn't get that right at all, but still had to be finished. Pass timed nicely there to Logan Trotter at fullback today. He was excellent on the wing last week, moved to fullback today, and well, he deserved a try last week, so he's certainly deserving of that one today. Extends Stirling County's lead. Yeah,
a little smile on his face there. I'm sure he'll be very satisfied, and he'll appreciate the efforts of his team there, but he was in the right position at the right time. His instincts there again as a comfortable fullback, but also a comfortable winger, to know when to provide a good supporting line, and the pass was good as well. It was the timing of the pass there from Salmon just to secure the fullback to go in for the score, and a fine conversion in these blustery conditions as well from Marcus Holden, because these extra points are going to be so important.
Absolutely. Tom Jordan, though, will be very disappointed with that. Thinking of it again, he signed for Glasgow Warriors this year, was superb for the Ayrshire Bulls last year. He scored, I think, 49 points in 9 games last year, but defensively normally very, very sound, the New Zealander, but as I said there, all it takes is one missed tackle.
Yeah, it's of course associated with Auckland in New Zealand. Tom Jordan is knock on Ayrshire Bulls handling error.
Stirling County were not good from the restarts last week, and they don't seem to have learned their lesson, because they've made a hash of 2 or 3 today as well. It hasn't cost them yet, but it's giving Ayrshire Bulls position in their 22. It must have been lost, I think, or knocked on, was it, by one of the Ayrshire Bulls players, so it will be a Stirling County put in to the scrum, but it's just putting themselves under pressure.
And I suppose it's as well, when you score, it applies to all teams having a settled few minutes after scoring, whatever the sport is, because you know sometimes there is a feeling that there can be a little bit complacency set in. You're not fully focused, and the opposition can hit back straight away. Knock on then, resulting in the scrum. The put in was good by Burgess, and off they go once again. Burgess over possession of the ball once again through the hands, but again they're looking just to power their way up the back row forward there. Hamish Ferguson was trying to swat away literally everything in front of him. Solid collision coming in there. Good tackle though made by Alex Samuel of Ayrshire Bulls, just to slow up Stirling County, force them to put boot to ball and play it long downfield. Gathered now by the Bulls, 3 players back, just strung along their own 10-metre line just now. Little goose step coming in there from Finlay Callahan, goes to deck. Reinforcements coming in just behind. Here's Lanac with the offload. Tight head prop was Peretto on there. The loose head was involved in the action too, but it appears now on that left hand side with Elias Cavan, who's back on the park. He was off there for I think it was an HIA a little bit earlier on in the half, but he's back on, primed and ready to get involved in the action once again. And another penalty awarded to Stirling County as Ayrshire Bulls, well, again, their full commitment to the cause is very clear, and a little exchange there between Marcus Holden and Jordan Lanack, and I mean those were two of the many players that were going full tilt at that.
Neither side able to get through many phases though. That's probably the third time we've started to see the style of rugby, if you like, the attacking shape from the Ayrshire Bulls, but the Stirling County, as we mentioned earlier, attacking the breakdowns wherever possible, managing to turn that one over again, but that's a mistake from the penalty.
Yeah, provides field position and an opportunity now for Ayrshire Bulls to go from a deep line position in their own half of the field. Jordan again doing well to hurdle the challenge coming in. A tap tackle attempt, couldn't slow down the inside centre. Ball carrier into contact was Bloodworth, receiving the pass from his scrum half. Lanack goes in once again. Advantage just with the Ayrshire Bulls at the moment on the front foot, looking to try and continue some forward movement inside the Stirling County half of the field again. County penalised for not releasing the tackle player. The referee will bring play back for the penalty. Just over 2 minutes of this first half left to play. Plenty of talking points. 5 tries so far in this first half, and it's been a fine first 37 minutes. There have been mistakes in the contest. It's made it, if anything, Bruce, just that little bit more interesting and entertaining.
Yes, I think we've seen how costly mistakes are and penalties, because I think most of there's a mistake from a penalty. I was just going to say I think Stirling County will find themselves under a huge amount of pressure here from another line out in the corner, but they've kicked it back to the Ayrshire Bulls here, and fullback Liam McNamara.
Yeah, especially with likes of Piretto, Stuart and Rogers in that front row for Ayrshire Bulls. But again, it's recycled ball going in. Lanack once more, just on this left hand side, looking to make some ground. Tom Jordan appearing just across the path, across that midfield, opening up opportunities on the left or going through the centre, close towards the touchline. You can see how close they are, and the referee again whistling. There'll be another penalty awarded this time to Stirling County against Ayrshire Bulls. Back very quickly is Elias Cavan, so he did go off the field a little bit earlier on, albeit quite briefly, but he's certainly back and fully fit now and looking to get himself involved. But it's going to be Logan Trotter that will play this downfield from halfway, and very deliberately going for an easier touch finder this time, Bruce.
He had no angle to work with at all. He was only 2 or 3 metres in from that stand side touchline, so he didn't really have any option. He's probably got that further than I expected him, to be perfectly honest. So whereas Ayr really should have been the ones applying the pressure at the other end of the field, we find towards the end of this half it's perhaps Stirling with an opportunity to extend their lead as we go into half time.
Fraser's throw gathered in the air by County. Burgess goes in once more, trying to snaffle possession of the ball there. Again, we're hearing more and more from our match referee, not so much talking to the players, but it's his own whistle. It's coming in increasing intervals now as well to break up the fluency of the play, but he always feels, or apparently feels the need to break play up because of these increasing number of infringements that are having a very much a say on how fluent the game is and how the game's going to be dictated.
I think he got a call from his assistant referee there. It was probably quite hard for him to spot that were hands in the ruck there. The ruck was formed, so you've got to keep your hands out there off the ball, and Ayrshire Bulls are doing everything they possibly could to slow that down. So perhaps one last chance. So they've been in this corner umpteen times, not been able to make anything of it so far. Can they now?
Fraser then will look to take something out of the Ayrshire Bulls book. Long throw in just towards the back there, won by one of the try scorers in the form there of George Arnott, and it wrapped up in the tackle. And it's back now, recycle ball on from the scrum half to Ferguson. Ferguson, the blind side flanker, into the 22. Spill goes loose, picked up there by Piretto, is in good position The referee again spots a double knock on this time, and in fact that will conclude the first half proceedings. It's been a pretty quick opening 40 minutes, a somewhat tentative first 2 or 3 minutes, but the side certainly got going after that, and it's been a game that's been relatively end to end, played on a fine, very dry surface and breezy conditions at Bridgehaugh, but still in County Bruce Millar will be delighted to take a 21-12 lead in at the interval.
Ben Cairns will be very happy with that, because I say neither side have really got into their stride, but if anything you could see the Ayrshire Bulls what they were trying to do in attack a bit more, but as we mentioned in commentary, mistakes and penalties have cost both sides. The Ayrshire Bulls will be very annoyed that they didn't find the touch just a couple of minutes before half time there, because that would have been a great opportunity for them to narrow the gap going into half time. But at 21-12, yes, no doubt Stirling County the happier of the two.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the first half highlights, and there have been several during the course of the opening 40 minutes. Ayrshire Bulls then on the attack, that pass a little loose there from Lanark, and now football played by Marcus Holden. First kick there as a look over the shoulders. This was all about a gain from the side of the boot, making it available to those tracking up very quickly onto it was Salmon, but it was all about the pace in the end of Logan Trotter outrunning his opposite number there, Elias Caven, and a fine score, something you sometimes see in sevens, but again just a little misunderstanding with that Lanark pass, and all of a sudden Stirling are away playing some good football and finishing things off.
And Holden never panicked. He hacked it upfield. He was already looking around to see who he had with him, and wonderful control there. I would have had that hoofed long over the dead ball line or into the stand or something like that, but he controlled that wonderfully, and then, as you say, just great pace to finish it off, and
didn't have much of that in-goal area to work with as well when he was coming onto that at a rate of knots there. Ross McKnight, who was the try scorer. Now this, an illustration of the power of the forwards here. A very quick throw in from Stuart. He joins in the maul at the side, and it was really a forwards effort to finish that off very, very quickly. We were talking at the time, but a couple of replacements being made by both sides, but this was a fine, powerful move from the Ayrshire forwards, and Bruce and I were still looking just to confirm it may well have been Lewis McNamara, the open side flanker, who grounded the ball. This again a fine piece of running by McNamara's opposite number, Connor Gordon, on towards George Arnott, who'd only been on the park about 5 or 6 minutes by the time he grounded the ball for the second Stirling County try. There you see the ball back to the co-captain Connor Gordon, and there's Arnott with a fine move.
Again, just one missed tackle. I think it was Ali Rogers, former Hawks player, fell off the tackle there. There was arguably the spacing wasn't quite right in that Ayrshire Bulls defence there, so there was nobody to help him out.
Now this was Lanark on to Jordan, as Ayrshire Bulls again were chasing the contest, and an example just of the power and experience of Grant Stewart, a professional with, of course, Glasgow Warriors, a Scottish internationalist, played one cap against France back in 2019, and this was all about power. He just had too much for his opposite number there, Angus Fraser. Fine score.
Tom Jordan's run just tightened the defence up, and as I said in commentary, the players coming round the corner didn't get it right at all. They were far too tight to the breakdown and too easy for Stuart.
And this time it was Holden through the hands on towards Salmon. Outside centre did very, very well indeed to open up an opportunity here for Logan Trotter to finish things off. And it was all about the timing, I think, of this pass as well, because as you mentioned in commentary, is round Tom Jordan, is away, very much aware. He has, I looked 2-3 occasions, draws in the fullback there. I think it was actually Finlay Callaghan who was covering back as fullback for Ayrshire Bulls, and Logan Trotter was played in very nicely. And how about that for a fine conversion, drifting just inside that right hand post. Fine bit of play.
It was superb. I thought it was McNamara, but you may well be right, it was Callaghan. But either way, as you say, held onto the ball just long enough to almost bring the fullback to a standstill. So when he gave the pass to Trotter, he had no chance of getting to him.
Well, we've been talking during commentary of two fine scrum halves in the form of Finlay Burgess and Jordan Lanark, but another is Scotland under-20 scrum half Murray Redpath, who's enjoying his time with the Southern Knights after joining ahead of the FOSROC Super 6 Sprint Series. And this week we went down to Melrose to speak to the 19-year-old.
of the lads who I did do 20s with, they played last year in like the Super 6 season. They've obviously playing a lot this year as well, and they just said like it is a good standard, and it just gets you ready for playing more and more. And it's like obviously difficult games every week, which is what you need and what you need to get better and progress. So it's just trying to challenge myself and just play as much as I can really. So I did the 20s this year, the Six Nations that we had, and then obviously Rob Christie's one of the coaches at the 20s, and he kind of just spoke about it to me, saying trying to get some extra game time really before any summer stuff that happens with the 20s or whatever's going to happen. And then yeah, he got in touch with me saying Bruce obviously wants to chat to you, just get you up and see what you like, and just trying to get a bit of game time really. So I got a message from Bruce, a phone call, sorry, and yeah, just spoke about it to him. Obviously try and get it around all the work and stuff, but yeah, it's worked pretty well. I've come out to my third week now, so yeah, it's going well. I think the men's, because it's men's rugby, it's a bit, especially for me, I'm not the biggest lad, just kind of getting into that environment, just knowing that I've got to think about how my size and play to my strengths and avoid my weaknesses. And then yeah, obviously just training's intense, matches are intense, things like that. It is a step up from what I've done so far. Playing with like boys like Cammy and Chamber and stuff are outside me. Obviously, they're good players playing at Edinburgh, training at Edinburgh every day. So setting standards, they set a standard. I've got to meet that. Play with it as a 9, especially the service has got to be good. So challenges my passing, kicking, things like that. It's challenged by all the other, me and the other 9s all go against each other to try and improve ourselves, but also just get ahead of each other. And yeah, it just improves the skills really of what I need to get better, and also just physically, just like getting used to that sort of stuff, because it's obviously it's a big step up. And got a really young team at the moment, but I think that's quite good. Like we've got a lot of like older lads who are more experienced and have like the level heads compared to us, but I think it's good to have a good mix between us. And yeah, it's a good challenge for us because nothing's expected of the younger lads too much really, so it's good to try and prove it ourselves and prove it to everyone else really. Obviously my dad, his side, him and his brothers played here when they were younger. They played it all their life really. And yeah, that was, I don't know how many years ago that was now, quite a few years ago, but they grew up here, played here. I don't think they played anywhere else really. It's a big thing to come here for them and for the family, but yeah, I haven't really been up here much, so over the last couple of weeks I've kind of experienced it properly. It's been really good, it's been nice, everyone's been really nice to me, really welcoming, so it's been good. So I'm quite good, to be fair, because my dad's he's got quite a strong Borders accent, so I've got better and better over the years. When I was younger it was tough to understand some of the accents up here, but I've definitely got better, and then some of the 20s lads are pretty strong accents as well, so I've got used to it. And there's a couple of words which I'll miss out, but I can string the sentences together better off now. More just trying to focus on ourselves. Like we can only control what we do. So, and I think the last couple of games we've shot ourselves in the foot a couple of times, especially in like important moments of the game, just as a whole 15. So, what's Onions will bring what they have and their strengths, but we just got to focus on ourselves, getting everything right, getting the basics, getting all the little everything just kind of tweaked and just sorted out just for the game, so we can come into it 100% and ready to give them a good game.
That's a fine little piece there on the youngster Murray Redpath, of course, son of Brian, who racked up 60 caps against 60 caps for Scotland against some of the very best back in the 90s into the 2000s, Bruce. He'd be certainly well past the 50s. I think he was a 60 cap international player.
Your memory, as always, is much better than mine, Stuart. He was certainly a fantastic player, though.
It was excellent to see the drone footage there of Melrose and of the Green Yards, which is, of course, has had a bit of a facelift in recent times ahead of the start of the FOSROC Super 6 campaign a couple of years ago with the artificial surface and with the floodlights. Of course, we were both down there for the Melrose Sevens a couple of weeks ago, but yet another product coming from a small borders town. And Murray Redpath, I mean, his connections to the town are very, very strong with the Southern Knights. He'll hope to emulate the success of his father, of his brother, and go on and reach international honours, full international honours.
You would think so. You mentioned his brother there as well, who's had a tough time with injuries, but you would hope a fantastic career ahead of him with Scotland. And you also mentioned small towns. I mean, we know all about the border towns producing players for Scotland, but I mean, looking through some of our team sheets today, we've got guys that have come through the system. Alex Samuel for the Ayrshire Bulls started out at Madras. There's 2 or 3 at Kirkcaldy. We've got Dumfries. You and I are obviously very biased from Duns. I think I'm right in saying there's 4 players that have come through the Duns youth system in spread across the Super 6 squads. The clubs all over Scotland do a fantastic job through their youth system of bringing players through who then progress to the bigger clubs, and then now we've got the opportunity for them to move on to Super 6, which provides that stepping stone to professional rugby with Edinburgh and Glasgow and perhaps international honours. Yeah,
it's to try and structure a pyramid system, I suppose, that is going to work in the professional era in a way that a pyramid system did perhaps exist in some form during the amateur era, with the districts being that sort of that intermediate level between international rugby and club rugby. As we see Ayrshire Bulls heading back onto the field of play there, back out is Elias Caven, who, as we mentioned, sustained a bit of an injury in the first half, but is happy to continue. Cammy McMillan, the first of the Stirling County players out of the home dressing room on onto the park for the start of this second period. 5 tries in the first half. If the second half is similar to the first in terms of just the involvement of both sides in the contest going forward, mistakes were certainly made. It wasn't the most fluent of games, but it still in its own way was easier than I.
It was a very enjoyable half of rugby. I was going to use the word fluent as well. I was just going to say, if we want anything more from this second half, it would be a bit more fluency in attack. We didn't get through an awful lot of phases. We could, particularly with the Ayrshire Bulls, we could start to see the shape that they were trying to play, and it would be nice to see a little bit more of that from both sides in the second half.
And Marcus Holden there almost squinting into some sunshine as he spins round alongside the match referee. Just to adjust his position to get the second half underway with that cloud of dust from the ground here gathered by Ayrshire Bulls just on that Stirling right hand side. Lanaka immediately available across on the right. The scrum half finds one of 3 ball carriers lined up just on the edge of that 22. Referee David Sutherland just ensuring that the Stirling players remain on side as Lanak delivers the box kick from the edge of the 22. Underneath it was Logan Trotter, was aware that he was going to be challenged almost immediately. Trotter, one of the Stirling try scorers in that first half. Penalty though is awarded, but if double movement there from Trotter picked up by the match referee. We'll see it again. He did well to win the ball in the air because he was aware traffic was coming at a rate of knots towards him. But yeah, there's almost a roll and a half there before he plants the ball back, but that deemed enough to award the penalty to Ayr.
Initially he did wonderfully well because he was under a fair bit of pressure, skipped out the first tackle and then somehow made 10 yards or so, and I don't think he even needed to make that extra roll. You would do it to stop the defence getting hands on the ball, to buy your own team time to get there to clear, but I don't think he really needed to. And a chance now early in the second half for the Ayrshire Bulls line out.
Grant Stuart comes across, panned down there by Blair McPherson. Stuart will come in towards the maul. It's not very well structured, so they'll go through the hands of the forwards and through perhaps the midfield as well. Ewan Bulger is the player without a number on his back, as Lanark is able to pick the ball up and look at the options. There were 4 to his right hand side. They'll work it left once more. This time it's on towards Bloodworth, who carries up towards the 10. Lanark in behind again. On now towards Townsend. Townsend with the pass towards the left hand side, and it looks as if Tom Lambert could well be on the field of play as well, as he's gone to ground. Powerful run there from Tom Jordan, trying to fend off the Stirling challenges coming in at both directions, from left and from his right, as tackles continue to come in. Stirling County player on the deck. It's back to his feet there, one of the try scorers, George Arnott. Defensive cover now being applied as Alex Samuel tries to barge his way through. Back it comes through the midfield now. Fine handling here from Ayrshire Bulls, but they're not yet been able to pierce the Stirling County defence. The advantage for the knock-on was relatively short-lived, but it did provide Ayrshire Bulls with a platform to try and work something down their right-hand side. So after the knock-on signal by the referee, we'll have the scrummage, and it will be the Bulls to put in, trailing by 21 points to 12 in the early stages of the second half. And sure enough, that is Tom Lambert on the park.
The Bulls just look a bit more comfortable when they've got hands on the ball, and as I said, in the first half you can see the type of shape they're trying to play. I think it was an 11 play probably off the line out, when they hit it up in midfield, went back, and then they played off 9, they played off 10, and they're just trying to mix it up a little bit more, whereas Stirling County, it tends to just be hit a pot of forwards and try and get yourself going forward, and they just look that little bit more powerful air as well. But the scoreboard will tell us that it's still Stirling County with that fairly healthy looking 9-point advantage.
Right in just to the heart of that scrum. The ball is just gradually working its way back. McPherson on towards Lanark. On this right hand side, Jordan again. Pass, just a misunderstanding coming through very quickly there was Trotter. Onto it as well now is Fafita, who's been one of the quieter figures in the contest.
Still live.
And the ball still live, says the referee. So it's now a chance for the Ayrshire Bulls and Liam McNamara to work his way up towards the edge of the 22. Back it will come once again. Bulls working from a deeper line position. Grant Stewart plays the ball back. Lanark then reaches in with the boot.
Back foot 5, thank you.
Scott down and deliver the box kick. Half-hearted attempt here to try and charge down the kick, as a clutch of lock forwards were coming together, and that ball flying over the head there of Logan Trotter, but the ball, the referee is bringing play back in fact to the edge of the 22. Stirling County will have the throw in here, so Ayrshire Bulls not quite the direction there on the kick, and that can be expensive when you kick straight out.
I'm not sure if it was a mistake with the direction or if he didn't realise that it had been carried out of the 22. I would need to see the replay of it, but either way a real mistake there, and Stirling County, that looked a bit squint to me, so let off the hook there the Ayrshire Bulls. But that happened on the last 2 occasions. It was the same a couple of minutes ago for the Bulls. Their forward carry went out of the 22 just by a half a metre or so, but of course that means you can no longer kick directly to touch. You're forced to keep the kick in field, and it was just a chance from, I think that was probably the one that we saw Logan Trotter counter-attacking from.
Just a close-up there of DJ Innes removing his gum shield, so he's going to be part of the Stirling County midfield in this second half as Grant Stewart heads towards the touchline. I'd imagine he'll want to continue, but it'll be interesting to know what arrangement that Glasgow Warriors have with these professional players in terms of the number of minutes that they're due to play in games, because that's very much part of the decision making process about them starting. Do they play an hour? Do they play just the first half of games? That will all be determined in advance, you'd imagine.
It will be, yeah. I mean, they'll probably be given a range, but I'm sure it's pretty tempting for the coaches sometimes. You've been told that 40 minutes, but he's going well, I'll maybe leave him on for another 10 minutes, and then that becomes another 10 minutes. So, but yeah, I think it'll be fairly tightly controlled by Glasgow.
Well, ex-GHK man Alex Maguire is on as a replacement for Grant Stewart, so that just changes the complexion of this front row that Ayrshire Bulls will lock with Stirling County. County in front by 21 points to 12. Time just in the corner of your screen with the scoreboard into the second half as Lanark feeds the ball into the scrum. The penalty being awarded, another scrum penalty So the Bulls with that slightly freshened front row, certainly one fresh-minded pair of legs on in the form of Alex Maguire, and it will be Townsend from just the edge of the 22 who will ping this one downfield for better field position for this Ayrshire Bulls side.
Just quickly going back to what we're saying about Grant Stuart there, it maybe makes it sound like the pro sides don't want them playing full games. The instructions might well be give him as much game time as you possibly can. So
he's back on.
He is back on, yes.
He's back on, yes. He appeared in the second half in the recent Glasgow Warriors routine win against Zebri, replacing Johnny Matthews, who'd scored a hat-trick of tries that evening by the time he left the field of play. But he had a fine spell in the spring of 2019, scoring a try in the Pro 14 final when Glasgow Warriors were picked to the Pro 14 title, and that really led to him earning that one Scottish international cap against France. As we watch Ayr now, Lanac trying to find the inside centre John Jordan at first receiver. Supporting there was Finlay Callaghan, recycled back now towards Townsend. Again, just adjusting the stride to try and draw in some Stirling County defence, giving himself a little bit more room. Mark looking to feed the ball out, coming crashing through there was George Breeze, and we see Breeze again just trying that little clear out. It was a very loud and direct countdown there for Lanac to play that downfield, and this is Walter Fafita, one-handed offload there. And on once more to the fullback Logan Trotter, who wants to get more involved in the contest, having scored a fine try. Stirling then recycle ball deep inside their own half.
Ball is available, stay there, 3, thank you.
Fafita just occupying a position on that left hand side. Just the two appearances so far for Glasgow Warriors. Been an injury interrupted spell since really that international against Tonga that you mentioned a little bit earlier on. Lanac doing very well on that right hand side, offloads towards Lambert, who takes the ball into contact. Back to his feet there and round was Andy Stirrat, the outside centre for Stirling County, as for Ayrshire Bulls I should say, as Stirling County's Ben Salmon was also on the attack there. He's in a picture at the moment, in defensive mode at the moment, Ben Salmon. But Stirrat back to his feet. Back it comes to the Ayrshire Bulls.
Thank you, 5.
Halfway line.
Stay there. Thank you.
Now delivered box kick through Lanac. Ball in flight again, angled down towards the 22, and again from just a fraction inside his own half. He'd be mindful that the ball wasn't carried into the Stirling County half of the field, so that was played downfield, and that's another throw in for Ayrshire Bulls. And here's a platform with Stuart back in the park.
That's a fantastic kick there. It bounced very close to the touchline, but it doesn't really matter. It was judged well, and it's won the Bulls a line out in a great attacking position. The Bulls, having just complimented them on their attack, at least we could sort of see the shape they were trying to play to. They've looked a little bit pedestrian the last two occasions they've had the ball, and they've been forced to kick. The first one not so good. It gave Fafita a hint of a chance. We're not really seen much of him with ball in hand, but he decided to offload it to Logan Trotter, who's looked dangerous today. On that occasion though, as we say, it was a nicely judged kick.
Yeah, the 50-22 was one of the changes that was introduced just before the start of the Super 6 campaign last autumn. I suspect we'll see more of it now that the players have had the best part of 9 months to work out how to best introduce it to their game, and the accuracy will be greater now, I think.
And it's a great option depending on how the opposition are defending, how many they've got in the backfield.
Lads, time is off.
I think that's the second one we've seen in the game so far.
There have been two excellent ones, both down this corner, as Ayrshire Bulls then with the throw in, and that just ricocheting off the hands there of Ed Bloodworth. Stirling County again looking to recycle balls, so they've done well at least to secure possession inside their own 22, just on that left hand side. That's referee in the picture there, David Sutherland, just saying to the scrum half to use the ball under a little bit of pressure there. Finlay Burgess with the high up and under, and Ewan Bulger has left the field of play, so there's been a change there. I did hear just in the background that number 4 was to make way, so Gav Wilson is on in place of Ewan Bulger.
And I was just about to say, with the 50-22, it's a great weapon for a team like Ayrshire Bulls that have got a good line out, a good driving line out, and then they go and make a hash of that. I think that was probably Adam Sinclair that got up and made a nuisance of himself there and won that back. So another Ayrshire Bulls line out this time, a bit further away from where they would like to have been.
Marching on now as the Bulls again looking to recycle, as very quickly they make some distance into the Stirling County section of pitch between that 10 and 22. Townsend again receiving it from his scrum half. Townsend now going himself. Townsend still, he has it. Oh, wonderful piece of run here from Christian Townsend. He's lifted practically off the deck. You can see him gritting his teeth as he's trying to ground the ball, but his back is to the turf. An offside decision is given against a group of players that were racing onto that, Bruce, as we get to see this again. Townsend, a fine piece of running, but an excellent bit of defensive work from Stirling County.
It was a fantastic break from Townsend. We saw what you can do in the first half. A lovely ghosting run there, just ball in two hands, looking for support, and none of the defenders really committing to him. But of course, change now. Normally, if you've been held up over the goal line, that would have been an attacking scrum prior to the another. You mentioned the 50-22. This is just another new law, so it's a goal line dropout instead. But it does give the Ayrshire Bulls a chance to attack.
Lanark on towards Callahan, taken on this time by Lewis McNamara. McNamara then wrapped in the tackle from DJ Ennis, goes to deck, recycle ball. Lanark once more, back in field, played on this time by Ed Bloodworth, recycled again out towards this right hand side, trying to ship the ball quickly through the hands of Jordan. Ball goes loose. County again trying to strip the ball, but it's back with Jordan again. He eyes up the opportunity there. A little chip kick ahead this time by Finlay Callahan, who scampers after it. Coming around here was a covering Stirling County defence just to slow up that opportunity for Callahan, who was coming through at a rate of knots there. 11 minutes of the second half gone. Another handling error from Stirling County inside the 22 this time, and another scrummage after they knocked the ball forward. But a bit more pressure at pace being applied by this Ayrshire Bulls side.
Yes, well, going back to the law change, previously that would have been a scrum 5, which is very hard to defend. There at least you get it a little bit further, but it does mean that you've got Ayrshire Bulls on this occasion charging back at you at pace.
Scrum, black ball.
Scrummage then inside the Stirling County half of the field, quite deep downfield, as Ayrshire Bulls are still chasing this contest. Calvin Henderson is on in the front row in place of Enrico Peretto, so that is a change with Calvin Henderson, former Mar player, now very much part of the Ayrshire Bulls ranks, on in place of Peretto, but Grant Stewart remains on the park alongside Ali Rogers in that front row. Lanark will feed the ball into this latest Ayrshire Bulls scrum on their right hand side. On once more towards Jordan. Jordan just bypassing the run there from Callahan. Opting for Callahan to receive the ball, bit of a decoy there. Picked up by Lanark once more. Blaine McPherson has it now, he goes to deck. Lanark recycles again. On towards Jordan, deft pass out there towards McNamara, the fullback. Excellent tackle. Stirling County then reorganise the defence. Once more Stirling County are looking to go on the defensive as it's been played on the deck by Ayrshire Bulls. Some desperation there perhaps as Liam McNamara has a quick exchange with the match referee David Sutherland. I'll get back to his feet, but again a little bit more promise going forward from the visiting side.
Yes, they just look a little bit more inventive when they got the ball. Nothing fancy, but there's a little blocker play in there and getting the ball out the back of it and trying to just affect that Stirling County defence more. But they can't get themselves through enough phases to really stress it. We mentioned it in the first half. They only went through 4 or 5 phases, and you could see the Stirling County defence just starting to lose shape. They don't need to go through many more, but they're making it very easy. They're getting into dangerous positions, but not able to make anything of it.
Ken Ramsey is also on for James Poe, as another change has been made by Stirling County. Scrummage then, and the put in for County through Finlay Burgess, the 18-year-old, picked up there by Arnott, who's the bit between his teeth. He's wanting to get his side back on the front foot, one of the try scorers in the contest. Again, the ball carrier this time is Gregor Hendelson, who's another replacement just in the front row then for Stirling County, but it's been won back by Ayrshire Bulls on the edge of that 22. They go in and scrap for absolutely everything as it's through the hands of Christian Townsend out towards the right hand side. Block challenge coming in there from Kieran Ramsey as they look to recycle once more. McPherson carries it past one tackle, second is flowed by the second, picked up now, Ayrshire Bulls dislodged there. It's a fine piece of running there as the Bulls again had a splinter runner onto that pass. Fafita now is able to at least protect possession of the ball here for Stirling County. And again it's played through the hands of the scrum half and cleared downfield by the fullback Logan Trotter under a bit of pressure. But Ayrshire Bulls beginning now to knock on the Stirling County door, asking a few more questions, and this was a fine bit of opportunist play here, Bruce.
They're very physical. I think that's it. Blair McPherson, the captain, when he gets the ball in his hands, he just makes you so much ground. The Stirling County didn't get their defence set again, and I think is that Cam Jones on in the 24 jersey on at scrum half. Got a try last week, was the player of the match, but it looked like he was through, tried to get the ball free in one hand and offload. I thought for a second he was going to get himself to the try line. He was stopped short, tried to offload, he didn't have anybody there, but lost the ball in contact. But again, another great opportunity for the Ayrshire Bulls. And they won't be panicking yet. There's a long time still to go in this one. No change to the half-time score, but they'll feel that they probably have earned a try.
Yes, another instalment between these sides at Bridgehaugh. We mentioned a little bit earlier on the previous two occasions, very different matches. In December 2019, Ayrshire Bulls winning a rather muddy and bleak December afternoon, an 8-0 win for the Bulls against Stirling County. And then fast forward to the 20th of August 2021, when Stirling County, courtesy of that very late Craig Robertson penalty, snatched the victory from the Bulls by 30 points to 28. At the moment, 21 points to 12 to County, 15 minutes of the second half gone. One in the air once more by an Ayrshire Bulls side looking that bit more determined, as it's recycled again and taken on this time by Finlay Callaghan, out and is able to offload towards Elias Cavan, and cover provided there by Cam Jones. Jones will go in once again. Lanat's been very busy at scrum half. Jones will want to do likewise. Townsend in on towards Jordan, out towards the right hand side. Jordan has it once more, receiving it from the player on the deck. He's still on the ground just now. That is skipper Blair McPherson, who's back to his feet. Off it goes once again. Calvin Henderson once more tries to work something out towards the left hand side. Ball goes loose, been picked up then by a sharp Stirling County set of players there. Logan Trotter leading from the front, picked up at the deck there by Hindleston. He tries to feed the ball out towards the left hand side. Reinforcements in now through the form of the auxiliary half-back partnership there that have worked well in at least clearing the ball downfield. Again, no, Bruce just putting a bit too much on that kick, goes straight out, so a lot of the hard work is then done, but you don't get the end result you're looking for when the execution isn't exactly what you want.
You can see from the flags there, that's the way the wind is going, and he got too much on it anyway, but it wasn't helped by the wind. But once again, Ayrshire Bulls looking threatening. Blair McPherson getting his hands on the ball a couple of times, the captain, in that spell, giving them good go forward, but can't get through phases, lose the ball, and Stirling County just opting to kick long, making a mess of it on that occasion.
Another Stuart throw in, again just ricocheting off the hands there, as Ayrshire Bulls will have the advantage there from the scrum, courtesy of that knock on. What can they do here? Running into traffic in the form there of John McKenna. The referee saying no further advantage. Tom Jordan again getting himself involved. Missed maybe one particular tackle in the game, but the rest of the match he's performed very well, particularly in possession of the ball. Another penalty against Stirling County for not releasing the tackle player, and they're coming in increasingly regular intervals now as we approach the hour mark.
That's the last two line-outs. I think the Bulls have done that. They've gone open, obviously, from the line out and hit it up in the midfield, but then they've gone back where they've come from, just trying to catch County either overfolding players round in defence or just the players in the line out not really switched on it, not expecting to have to defend. And on that occasion they got good ground, good go forward through Tom Jordan. Another penalty, a kick down into the corner again. As I say, they won't be getting nervous yet, but they'll be thinking, we've got to take advantage of one of these opportunities.
Forward they come, and they're aware that they have a real weapon in their armoury as well, as they throw the ball in then to the line, just ricochets off hands, and County slipping inside their own 22. Gets a little bit messy and untidy as Ayrshire Bulls looking to try and rip possession, but the referee will come to the aid of Stirling County there, as you can see the animation on the face there of Lewis McNamara, as Alex Maguire is back on for Grant Stuart. We did see Maguire throwing in at that line out, but they still are a real danger 5 metres from the opposition line when a throw-in presents itself as an attacking opportunity.
The line out didn't work for them on that occasion, and a little bit fortunate as the ball went loose, so they've managed to I think to hold up the Stirling County player in possession, which, as we said earlier, if there's a maul created, it doesn't come out, the opposition get the ball, so it may well work out. Yeah, it didn't work from the line out. Can it work from the scrum?
Cam Jones feeds the ball into the scrum, just at the back then. The advantage now coming the way of Ayrshire Bulls. Blair McPherson senses an opportunity now to get them a little bit closer. They look to spread the ball out towards the centre portion of this section of 22, as it's once more in through Jones, and they pick and go once again underneath those posts. The Stirling County defence really stretched. There's that man again, Jordan, helped all the way by the supporting cast in behind.
No advantage there.
The referee will bring play back for that penalty. You heard them say that there was an advantage coming there the way of Ayrshire Bulls, so back it comes. And after an hour of this contest, with the scoreline the way it is, and Ayrshire Bulls having much of the last 5-6 minutes deep inside the Stirling County section of pitch, deep inside that 22, this is an important phase in the game, Bruce.
Yes, they'll really want to come away with something here. They look very, very powerful when they get ball in hand. McPherson, I mentioned earlier, really getting his side on the front foot. And most teams, when they get into this area, they will just try and hammer down, knock down that door, so they'll just give it to the forwards. But you'll involve your centres, and they've got a very strong centre, Tom Jordan, getting himself involved there as well, so going close on a couple of occasions, but the Stirling County defence just about holding out.
Looks as if one of the Stirling try scorers, George Arnott's been in the wars, as he's helped just past the posts there. He'll go towards the side of the pitch.
You've just substituted a new player.
So John McKenna is on, and Cameron McMillan is off, so another replacement for Stirling County, this time in the front row. But we'll watch with interest to see what happens with George Arnott. He's been a bit of a bulldozer since coming on the park quite early on in the first half.
And the scrums, they've been fairly even. You got a sense that the Bulls might have the upper hand, but there's not been an awful lot in it. But that last scrum, they very much did get themselves on the front foot. Some changes, as you mentioned there, in the front row for Stirling County. So it'll be interesting to see how if the Bulls can get the upper hand here.
Cam Jones in, McPherson just trying to control it with that left boot. Back towards Jones, little sharp pass there to Jordan. Spilled goes loose, knocked forward there by the Ayrshire Bulls. So that particular opportunity, this time from a scrummage, comes to nothing. Now can Stirling County mop up here as the pass on there from Burgess, trying to secure possession of the ball, and a clean, secure exit from the 22. They're playing it literally down on the deck there. The scrum half now will feed the ball back. Once again, the kick almost charged down. Logan Trotter just hacking it clear. He goes to deck. I don't know if he maybe got a sore one in the follow through in the shins there, as he's maybe got a little bit of cramp as well after an hour on this very solid dry surface. 21-12 the score into the final quarter of the game.
I think it is cramp there, and Stirling County had an advantage. It was knocked on again with Ayrshire Bulls threatening Tom Jordan, knocking the ball on in contact. So they had the option, County, to go back for a scrum, but we've seen the last two scrums now. They're under a lot of pressure, and I don't think they would really have wanted a scrum, albeit their own put in quite so close to the line, so they were desperate to clear that. It was under a huge amount of pressure as he kicked it, but has made good ground. They will hope that they won't lose Logan Trotter. I think it is just a bit of cramp, but he's been excellent today again.
Yeah, watching it again, he went for rather than the shin, it was the back of the leg, suggesting it was a little bit of cramp, and it was in that very familiar pose of a player just trying to stretch the muscles. As you see, he's not moving quite as freely as he was a little bit earlier on, but he knows his side on the defensive. No change in the scoreline since half time. Into the final 19 minutes of the contest. It's becoming an increasingly interesting absorbing affair this at Bridgehaugh. One-handed palm down there by Alex Samuel in the line, but further infringement, and County again. Well, it's far too early for them to be spending too much time looking at the clock, but as we approach 5 minutes to 6 on a Saturday evening, they'll feel that if they were to see this out, it would be a confidence boost after such a disappointment last weekend in losing so narrowly to Watsonians.
Yes, and the Ayrshire Bulls there are now, it's they've got the upper hand in the scrum, but their last two lineouts haven't really functioned, and that'll give Stirling County a bit of confidence as well. As you see, from both sides you start getting it in your head. Ayr have had so many opportunities, or the Bulls, Ayrshire Bulls, and they think, was this not going to be our day? The Stirling County start thinking, well, is this going to be our day?
Yeah, you wonder, they made changes certainly in various parts of the forwards, and they'll look to Tom Jordan now to try and work something again from the scrum half. Jones Jordan goes back infield, and behind him now is Cam Jones, again looking to bring the forwards into play. The referee, though, we heard the whistle in mouth as through there was Lewis McNamara removing the gum shield. He gets off the deck with the ball underneath those posts, but he'll have to trudge his way back. And the referee, once again, let's have a look at this again, Bruce. Another chance for the Bulls.
There's a good carry there by Jordan, and the forwards, when they're running onto that hard, they just got a little bit in front. I don't know if the pass should have been given very slightly quicker, or if they were just too flat. Need to see that from another angle, but fortunately for the Ayrshire Bulls, they had already they were playing an advantage from a scrum penalty, so the referee will take them back to that.
Another scrimmage. Yeah, the changes perhaps significant, because you wonder if the line-out callers changed. You wonder if the player giving the instructions, Tom Lambert, on now to Alex Maguire. There's so many parts of it, moving parts in that line-out, that may not be functioning quite the way they want.
They'll have practiced it so many times with everybody in the different positions and different hookers. Alex Maguire, normally a good thrower, but for whatever reason it's just not quite worked as well as they would hope. But certainly the scrum going really well for them.
Taken on there by Finlay Callaghan, who's toppled to the deck there. A solid challenge coming in by Ben Salmon. And back they come once more.
Time's off. Alright, back you go.
The referee saying time off. Little change, Harris McLeod on for George Arnott's. Arnott's afternoon is done.
And you won against this loose head for collapsing.
So is the warning on the prop or the team?
So both, okay. I need better scrum, better positions from all players. Have a word, yeah.
And the referee quite clear in his instructions there to Marcus Holden, the co-captain of Stirling County.
No idea. Can. Time's off though.
Here, boys.
John, what we're looking at? 17 minutes?
17 minutes left to play. Game very much in the melting pot.
Interesting choice here for the Ayrshire Bulls. They have a penalty, so they can take the scrum where it is, which they know is very, very secure, or they can kick to the corner and try and win the line out and drive themselves over. I suspect 40 minutes ago they might have taken the line out option, but for now they've decided that the safer of the two is to stick with the scrum.
You wonder if it's not necessarily one particular part of the line out that's functioning. Each time it's maybe something else that's just not working for them, and that's what they've opted to do. So they're going with a Cam Jones put in at the scrum.
Of course, this ties in the whole Stirling County pack, so there are other advantages to it. They may well have picked the scrum anyway.
Not much blind side to work with. It's going to come back either through the good footwork of Blair McPherson in the forwards, or it will be through the hands of the first receiver, who's wearing 12, hands on his hips at the moment, Tom Jordan. Be disappointed to have knocked on and missed one crucial tackle in the game, but he's been one of the busiest players on the park, certainly one of the most active backs on either side. Cam Jones feeds in, aware of what's just immediately behind him. McPherson again just trying to use the studs. McPherson picks up on towards Jordan. Jordan then tries to weave his way out of trouble, but solid Stirling County defence slowing him up once more. Now they come on at a rate of knots, like a moving train. This Ayrshire Bulls side closing in on the Stirling County line once more, getting ever closer towards the line. Recycled ball, this time towards Alex Samuel, carried well. Jones on towards Townsend, out on this left hand side is Callaghan. really needing some support there, perhaps from McNamara, who's trying to literally push him towards that line. Recycled again. Calvin Henderson has it once more. On towards Jones, the replacement scrum half. Still Ayrshire Bulls press and probe deep inside that 22. You can see how close they are to the post. A wonderful pass on the deck, and it's the Bulls that are through for a score, and I think it's the scrum half, Cam Jones, who just appeared leaping onto that pass from the deck to finish it off. And Bruce, this is a fine piece of play here from the Bulls, carried initially by Lambert, but Jones on 2 or 3 occasions very much involved as well.
Fantastic. I was just trying to see who had offloaded the ball on the deck. I think it is Blair McPherson, the captain, who has been very prominent. We'll see maybe from this angle. He's been very prominent in the last 10 or 15 minutes or so, just trying to get his side on the front foot. It was indeed, as he was tackled, he had the presence of mind to just roll over onto his back, pop the ball up, and great support there from his scrum half. And good play. It's the most phases. We spoke about the Ayrshire Bulls not really being able to get themselves going through phases there, but McPherson picked up from the scrum, just very simple, gave it to Tom Jordan. That allows the forwards to get up from the scrum, get themselves into some sort of shape. They hit it up 2 or 3 times, then they went wide to the left wing, just trying to stretch that Stirling County defence out a bit. And as it came back, there generally will be spaces, and Cam Jones, he knew where they were, but they've just seemed to have more power when they need it, and in particular from McPherson. So yeah, it's been a long time coming, that Ayrshire Bulls try, I have to say, but it's certainly deserved. And this one, again, it looks like we'll go down to the wire.
And it's the first score of the second half, 21 points to 19, that coming 26 minutes into the second half. So Stirling County, well, they had to absorb so much in the second period. The kick-off is gathered there by Ayrshire Bulls, and again it's the replacement hooker, Alex Maguire, who wins possession back for a side now just trailing the match by 2 points, and they'll be lifted, having spent so much time in the Stirling County half, that they've got 7 points on the board. Box kick this time is a decent one from Cam Jones underneath it, not quite a touch finder. It's gathered there by Marcus Holden. Holden then still he has it down that left hand side, running into some Ayrshire Bulls traffic. They're almost running out of room there, Stirling County, on their left hand side. Fafita up with play as well. Been a relatively quiet figure, but may well still burst onto the scene. Turnover ball, and Ayrshire Bulls win it again, and they're playing clever passes on the deck, or going down one-handed down towards the deck, just to keep the momentum going a little bit here, as Ayrshire Bulls again recycle ball, becoming increasingly involved in the contest as Cam Jones, the replacement scrum half, on for Jordan Lanack. Jones has it once again, just delayed the pass ever so slightly, looked at the options that were coming onto the ball, as on the straight they picked up a knock in that first half. Also Townsend, that both have carried well. It was Townsend on that occasion was taking the ball into contact, but couldn't release and continue that forward movement from an Ayrshire Bulls point of view. And at this stage, with 12 minutes to go and 2 points separating the sides, you wouldn't want to call it either way.
Yeah.
Absolutely not, and neither side able to keep the ball there. Marcus Holden initially taking the kick from Cam Jones, and he did really well. He had very little space to work with, but it was turned over at the breakdown by the Ayrshire Bulls. But 2 or 3 phases later, Stirling County, and we spoke about them, their ability at the breakdown to win themselves either turnover ball or penalties, and they've won it. They've kicked to the corner, as you would expect, and they've been under an awful lot of pressure for the last 15 minutes or so. They'll be quite happy to get themselves out of the danger zone and up at the other end of the pitch.
Yeah, that sometimes takes its toll, particularly when you concede points and then you're under pressure again defensively. So it will certainly lift them to be back inside Ayrshire Bulls territory, back on the fringes of the 22. Gregor Hindleston is really a first opportunity he's had with an attacking throw-in inside the Ayrshire Bulls half of the field, I think, since coming on the park to relieve Angus Fraser. Hindleston then with the throw-in. Again, finding Harris McLeod, a replacement for George Arnott in that line. County then trying to go on the forward. As the maul now looks a little bit more secure. Coming through there was Hamish Ferguson. Ferguson goes to deck, plants the ball back. Scrum half again. Finlay Burgess is able just to offload towards that right hand side for the first time now, a second time as well. They're beginning to queue up there. The supporting cast, Henderson just adding his considerable bulk, as this is better ball carrying from Stirling County. As I say that, the ball is dislodged, it goes loose. The referee is going to produce a card. It's a yellow card, and Ayrshire Bulls are going to be down the mat. Is that directed at Blair McPherson, the skipper? I
think it is.
Yeah, he's walking away as a slightly disconsolate figure there. I think he knew himself as soon as he watched the referee go to the pocket that the card would be produced and it would be pointed in his direction.
Still not entirely sure what he did, to be honest, there, but it's certainly him that got the yellow card, and that's a huge loss for Ayrshire Bulls. He's 70 minutes on the clock, so he will not be back, or if he's back it'll be a couple of minutes of injury time. The
potency of the scrum is diluted somewhat with his absence, particularly in the opposition half of the field.
Yes, I mean the number 8 won't contribute an awful lot to the push, but he's so dangerous off the back and he's so experienced. And I think he was key to his side getting back into the game, and they will really feel his loss.
So McPherson trudges across towards the dressing room area to watch the action unfold in these final 9 minutes. Stirling County 21, Ayrshire Bulls 19. Just that one try courtesy of Cam Jones coming just about 5 or so minutes ago in this second half. No other scoring in the second period. It was 21-12 at the interval. The put into the scrum then, Finlay Burgess, Stirling County perhaps sensing an opportunity to see this game out now. Up a man, are they going to be able to make that count? Townsend with the block then for Ayrshire Bulls, recycled immediately now by the scrum half. On at pace they go once more, planting the ball back. The pick and goes are good and clean, and up towards that line, up with play as well as Logan Trotter. It's recycled again on towards Hiddleston. He was practically on the line but just couldn't ground the ball. Have they found a little bit extra space? They have indeed, piercing that defence. A replacement forward in the form of John McKenna is over for the try, and that may well be enough to secure victory for Stirling County this afternoon, because the conversion's still to come. The Bulls are down a man, 26-19. This is going to be an important kick for the posts.
And Stirling County, they've been under the cosh for the last 10 or 15 minutes there, though, but they're showing that they've got plenty of power there as well. I think a little bit of a mix-up in the Ayrshire Bulls defence. I'm just trying to see who that was that essentially stepped out of the defensive line, and it's just left the next players there with too much to do. The spacing's too wide, and but Stirling County, again, we've said it all day, they look at their best when the ball's in the forwards. And you felt if they were going to get themselves across the try line again, that's how it would happen.
Yeah, well, as I say, an important kick at the sticks here for the number 10, Marcus Holden. Just watching Zebri last night against Edinburgh. Ball fell off the tee during the run-up, but Zebri player had the presence of mind to be able to pick and drop the goal for the points. But Holden, no such worries for him, as it's now 28 points to 19, and we're closing in on the final 5 minutes.
Time. Stirling 9.
And you just felt if you had to pick a winner 5 minutes or so ago, you'd probably have gone with the Ayrshire Bulls, and it just shows you how quickly things can change. Stirling County get themselves a bit of territory. The yellow card for the Ayrshire Bulls to get themselves a try, and really you can't see the Bulls getting themselves back into this one now.
Yeah, the Ayrshire Bulls then chasing this contest, 28-19 the scoreline, and again an illustration of when these sides are on the money, on form. It's a very open competition. The Bulls of course winning the first completed competition after the opening season was curtailed due to COVID and ultimately brought to a rather abrupt end. But another change is made as seeing the screen Cammy McMillan on for Finlay Burgess. That would be a prop on for the scrum half, but they may well be rejigging things across the back division and bringing another forward into the backs. But as our attentions begin to turn to player of the match, and there's been a few candidates out there. We'll deliberate for the next couple of minutes on that one. But yeah, the very fact that Ayrshire Bulls are now down a man, not just the simple task of them trying to claw back this margin of 9 points, it's so much harder when you lose somebody of the skills of McPherson.
Yes, as we said before, he was absolutely key to their comeback in this, and if they had kept him on the field, if they hadn't conceded there, I still thought that the Bulls would probably come out of this one with the win, but now they find themselves back in their own 22 under pressure yet again. All this has come up in Bulls' hands, and will they look to try and play this, or will they just send this one long?
Cam Jones on towards Tom Jordan. Jordan is tackled. His offload just goes a little bit loose. A little collision there between Callahan and Jones, just putting Ayrshire Bulls under a little bit more pressure. Again, just playing the ball on the deck, and a little bit of afters now. It's been a game that, as far as we know and as far as we could tell from up here, has been played in fairly well-mannered fashion, but it's become a rather ill-tempered contest just in the last couple of minutes. And County seizing an opportunity here to close this game out, and it would be a big boost for them after losing last weekend. Of course, Ayrshire Bulls off and running in this sprint series of matches with a victory over Boroughmuir Bears by 24 points to 17 a week ago.
Next time the whistle goes for the rest of the game, I expect the players to walk away. If I have that again, there'll be guys sitting in the stand. Feed that to your team. It's a knock on, it'll be a scrum bottle for red, feed 9 black, knocked it on. Yeah.
We are in control, we stay in control, okay?
Don't involve yourself. Don't involve yourself. Time on. Height,
Of course, Stirling
stability,
County
keep the
securing
weight.
the try bonus courtesy of that fourth try. Into the final 5 minutes. Scrummage, attack here.
Bind.
As County once more looking to go forward, just close out this match. More than a converted try separating these sides. 4.5 minutes of the match left to play.
Okay, ball can't come in until we achieve stability. You two need to
Well,
work harder
Bruce,
to get
you
that.
and I were deliberating over who would be in the running for man of the match. You can see just walking away from a little consultation. Logan Trotter scored a fine try, has been pretty solid defensively, good with the boot as well. Good in the go forward and in defence. His all-round game, there's been a few that have made maybe the odd error during the contest, but he's been about the best of the bunch. His skipper Marcus Holden would also I think be very much in the running for player of the match, but it's awarded to Logan Trotter as he watches on now, and County on the front foot, getting closer towards that Ayrshire Bulls 5 metre line. 9 points in front with the bonus point in the bag. Recycled ball again coming through. Ayrshire Bulls missing McPherson, and Ayrshire Bulls breach defensively once again, and the Stirling County players celebrate a try that surely secures the contest. I think it may well have been Fafita, who's been a quiet figure. He was certainly involved in this, Bruce. We'll see again. Yeah, he comes onto that splinter pass, and there's the example of the Tongan international power. 6'5", 118 kilos, not going at full tilt as well. But Harry Russell with the pass on towards Fafita. There was no stopping him.
I think you're never ever going to stop somebody of that size from there. He'll be a bit frustrated that Stirling County haven't been able to get the ball out into his hands as much as he would have liked this afternoon. You could argue he maybe should have gone looking for a bit more work, or they could have brought him into the midfield. But when you get as close to the line as that, running at pace, Harry Russell just taking a step, drawing the defence onto him, and given a pass, just the easiest of tries for them for Stirling County there. And really, as I say, about 10 minutes ago, you did wonder if they were going to manage to get the win here, and now they're going to win very comfortably at Bridgehaugh, it would appear.
Yeah, it's been a very significant last 8 minutes of the contest as we watch the conversion attempt, the replay of the conversion, just coming back off the upright there as 33-19 is the scoreline. The high restart kick Ayrshire Bulls now just chasing, you think, consolation inside the final 2 minutes. It would be a monumental effort if they were to turn things round, and what little time is left as Harry Russell again looks to recycle ball on for the hard-working Finn Burgess, who at 18 as well acquitted himself very well indeed in a Stirling County jersey this afternoon, and was another candidate for player of the match. But a handling error inside the Stirling County half, 90 seconds of the game left to play, and this will be a big confidence boost for Pete Horn and for his brother George as well, not only putting in a fine performance last weekend in another defeat to Watsonians, but going again and just having a bit too much for the Ayrshire Bulls. Keeps it an open competition as well, with the side losing in week 1 and then picking up a victory in week 2. Of course, that would join wins this weekend for Heriots and for Watsonians. Two sides winning away from home. Boroughmuir Bears 22, Heriots 38 in the first of this second round of Sprint Series FOSROC Super 6 matches. And then earlier this afternoon at the Green Yards it finished Southern Knights 20, Watsonians 29. So 2 wins for the Meyer side. Club 2 relatively narrow victories, given that they took until the very end of the contest for them to wrap that one up. Collision there as Stirling County players back to the feet on the defensive once more. Bulls carrying into Stirling County territory once again. Recycled ball by Cam Jones, who's done well since coming off the bench, scoring a fine try. Jones goes in again, reverses play down this left hand side once more. Loop pass is gathered now by the Bulls. And down this left hand channel, back in field they will go, and they will just up in support. Jones recycling ball on once more through the hands very quickly there of Calvin Henderson, eating into what time is left as the Bulls closing in, trying to get down towards the 22. Liam McNamara there, wrapped in a tackle, goes to ground, but he's able to pan the ball back and make it available. Recycled quickly there by Calvin Henderson. Still they remain upright, Ayrshire Bulls, and still on the front foot, but very much chasing a game, a forlorn effort now perhaps, as it's back now with Finlay Callaghan, who spent much of the match on the field of play, one of the earlier replacements, through the hands of the replacement hooker Maguire. Out towards the left hand side. Will Jordan up to go? No, he opts to go down the centre. He's eventually tackled there, slowed up, recycled ball. Onto it again comes Cam Jones. He's a very busy little character, plants the ball back, it's available. Jones is able to pick up, recycle. This would be a fine Ayrshire Bulls score if they were to finish it off here. A succession of phases, eating up, devouring the ground into the Stirling County 22. It's knocked on there, I think, by Marcus Holden, who's just on his backside just now. He'll get onto his feet. He's bound to be aware the contest is more or less a done deal. And the ball is played out there by Ayrshire Bulls. And again they're lining up this throw in just on the edge of the 5 metre line.
Yeah, he's off the pitch.
Again, is that Logan Trotter receiving some further attention? It is indeed. Our player of the match has had a few issues with cramp.
On your front man, please. On your front man.
Final phase in the game. Bulls then line out, gathered, drive on, splinter drive, looks good, up and over they go. Consolation for the Bulls. They'll get the conversion attempt to bring them to within, what's that, 7 points, and they'd get a losing bonus point. 24 points on the board now, and this is just textbook throw in, drive 5 metres from your opposition line. The splinter certainly helped, and that's a fine piece of forwards play there from the beaten side.
Yeah, just looked so easy. They didn't set the drive, they shifted the drive a little bit, and it was just enough to bamboozle Stirling County. But when you see how easy it is there, and they scored it in the first half through their line out 5 metres out. Likewise on the other side with the pitch, they had to go through a couple more phases when Grant Stuart went over for his, but they will be asking, so, you know, we had other opportunities in positions like that. If we had made it, if we'd done it quite as easily, we would have probably done enough to win this game. So they'll be frustrated that they didn't take a number of opportunities that they had. But Stirling County, on the other hand, they've taken everything that's come their way. Can this conversion go for a losing bonus point?
Minogue just wide of the uprights there. Yeah, that was a well worked try in the end. I think it was Joe Knight who grounded the ball over the line. Well, we had to wait until the 66th minute of the second half to get the first of a clutch of scores in the second period that set up for a really an enthralling closing to this contest. Stirling County have come out on top. There's the scoreline, 33 points to 24, and that's a valuable victory, Bruce Millar, for Stirling County. A valuable bonus point win as well for a Stirling County side. Disappointment for Ayrshire Bulls. They felt like this before. They have lost at Bridgehaugh before, and there was no serious damage done to their campaign on that particular occasion, ultimately going on to win the Super 6 series. But a fine afternoon for the Horn brothers, who've masterminded a victory over Ayrshire Bulls and Ben Cairns.
It's Stirling County in a sprint series. You've got 5 games before the league splits. You can't afford to lose your first 2 games. They'd be really frustrated losing last week to a last minute penalty against a good Watsonian side. But they've come back home here today. They've obviously enjoyed playing on home turf on a fantastic afternoon, and just had too much ultimately for the Ayrshire Bulls.
Well, plenty of highlights to bring you during the course of the 80 minutes. Some fine scores as well. Played on an excellent afternoon for rugby. Here again is a try that certainly the Stirling County players will enjoy watching once more. The football played by their co-captain Marcus Holden. The chase on here initially by Ben Salmon, but acceleration from the right wing Ross McKnight, and McKnight just outpacing his opposite number Elias Cavan to score a wonderful try, and this coming from a very deep line position in their own 22.
Holden was another guy that we mentioned as an option for player of the match. He moved from 15 last week up to 10 today, and I thought he pulled the strings really, really well. He was very calm, and it was great control with the foot there.
Good. Yeah. Of course, I mentioned earlier on about the coaches, Horn and the Pete Horn and George Horn of Ayrshire Bulls, and Ben Cairn of Stirling County. So it's Cairn that gets one up on the Horn brothers rather than the other way around.
But we said how easy just a moment or two ago the try was for the Ayrshire Bulls from the line out. That was their first opportunity that they had, and it must have felt for Stirling County that any opportunity they gave the Bulls there, they were going to concede.
And this was a fine piece of running from the open side flanker, Connor Gordon, opening up an opportunity here, and George Arnott in position just to finish things off. You see a lot of the hard work done there by the blind side, and Arnott was on receiving the pass underneath the posts. And I mean, these 2 points, just each time converting the tries under those posts, valuable 2 points coming quick succession, all important as well. This a fine piece of running as well. And again, it was Tom Jordan who on the go forward was very effective at times for Ayrshire Bulls. You see him receiving the pass there from Lynette, grounding the ball, making it available then for Grant Stuart, and Stuart wrestling away from his opposite number to score a fine try from close range.
They used Jordan a lot in that role. I mean, he can be quite creative as well, but he's very powerful, and they just ask him to hit it up. But this is a fantastic, perhaps the try of the day for Stirling County. Yeah,
Ben Salmon, brilliant run from the outside centre, and the timing of the pass on towards Logan Trotter. Salmon, who we mentioned, is trained with the Scotland under-20s, accelerating away at Lanark, certainly providing some opportunities for Ayrshire Bulls going forward for the likes of Tom Jordan. Jordan defensively though would be very disappointed not being able to close down his man on this occasion, and that presenting Logan Trotter with an excellent try to finish off the first half. In the second period on the deck there, brilliant bit of play from Blair McPherson, spinning around on the deck, able to release Cam Jones. And at this stage in the second half, Bruce, you felt that the tide was maybe beginning to turn in favour of Ayr.
Exactly what I was going to say. I thought if they'll get the ball from the restart, they'll get themselves back into Stirling County territory, and they'll be very hard to stop. But instead, they suddenly found themselves here defending in their own 22 for the first time in 10 or 15 minutes, and they weren't able to keep Stirling County out, and crucially lost their captain to the bin.
Yeah, just at this moment here, and I think he felt he knew what was coming there, because he cut a fairly disconsolate figure after receiving the yellow card from the referee. You can see his head goes down as the referee reaches for the pocket. Yellow card is shown and he trudges off. Watching on then as Stirling County look to finish things off. Again, replacement scrum half, fine pass infield. And that was a nice sharp piece of play from John McKenna, being in the right place at the right time, receiving the pass there from Burgess, and again just being able to round Townsend, who did all he could to stop him.
Yeah, the Ayrshire defence just seemed to be at 6s and 7s there, because you could see the Stirling County players racing in to congratulate the try scorer, and they seemed to have loads of numbers away out to their left. And then Fafita, we didn't see an awful lot of him this afternoon, but if you give somebody of that stature the ball that close to the line, I don't think anybody is going to stop him.
Yeah, and Harry Russell was on at this stage for Stirling County. A cute little pass in towards Fafita, almost a special guest star appearance from the Glasgow man to run in from close range. But from a physical point of view, it was a decent workout for him. And then a fine try from Ayrshire Bulls to finish things off. They could not convert, but it was a ball won in the line out, a secure line out. The line out had begun to creak a little bit with some forwards changes in the second half, but they were able to get over the line. Joe Knight scoring the final try for the Ayrshire Bulls side. So yes, it's Ben Cairns who's celebrating this evening, and it's commiserations to Pete Horn and George Horn as their Ayrshire Bulls side will head back west. Disappointed to have lost the contest this afternoon, but it keeps this sprint series of matches very interesting when the ones that you may well say are perhaps favourites or you're going to favour to go the distance and appear at the top of the table after the regulation matches, when they start to slip up early on, it keeps it very interesting for the crowd.
It's certainly already shaping up to be a very interesting sprint series. I think just looking over the afternoon as a whole, the Stirling County backline, Logan Trotter we mentioned gave the player of the match to Marcus Holden, the captain, at 10. I thought was very good, but very powerful pack really that did the job. They took their chances and defended generally well under pressure. The Ayrshire Bulls will think that they were maybe the better of the two sides when they had the ball in their hand, pace and power, but they just made too many mistakes, and in contrast they didn't take their chances.
And there is a well-earned medal, the man of the match, the player of the match, FOSROC Super 6 player of the match this afternoon, going the way of Logan Trotter, who switches quite effortlessly between fullback and wing. Of course, a former Scotland under-20 internationalist, the player of the match this afternoon. Well, that rounds off our coverage this weekend. Boroughmuir Bears losing at home at Meggetland by 38 points to 22 in that Edinburgh derby. Then earlier this afternoon at the Greenyards, it was a close run thing until the final few minutes, with Watsonians eventually coming out on top by 29 points to 20. And then, as we mentioned, Ben Cairns, Stirling County doing enough just to outmuscle the Horn brothers this afternoon in a very entertaining contest at Bridgehaugh. It finished 33 points to 24. Let's have a look at how those results affect the table. And it's Heriots on top with the 2 wins from their opening 2 matches. Watsonians sitting a point behind. Stirling County move up into 3rd place in the table. Southern Knights just propping up the table at the bottom, having lost the opening 2 matches, similar to Boroughmuir Bears, who have 2 points. And next weekend, round 3 of this Super 6 Sprint Series FOSROC competition. Southern Knights at home to Stirling County. The Boroughmuir Bears will then entertain Watsonians. It's another Edinburgh derby for the Meggetland side. And Ayrshire Bulls, well, they're back in Alloway to take on Heriots, the side at the top of the table. A few mouth-watering contests. And there's a fine sight on a Saturday evening. The Wallace Monument in the background, just watching over Bridgehaugh. And I'm sure anybody who had climbed up the Wallace Monument this afternoon, maybe get a glimpse down at the action on Bridgehaugh, would be relatively entertained by the efforts of both sets of players. So it's a win then for Stirling County, moves them up to 3rd place in the table. They leapfrog Ayrshire Bulls after winning this afternoon by 33 points to 24.